this last couple of weeks, since these things came out that people were pissed off and whatnot, it's so weird how you think about the comic life. And I'm going to tell you a story that takes me back to 1992. Okay, this is how fucking crazy comedy is. Now, let's get something straight. I've always considered myself a thief, a good burglar. I was a good basketball player when I was a kid. There was a couple things I was good at. You know what I wasn't good at? Fucking. You know what else I wasn't good at either? If I was sober, I would never ask a woman a question. If it wasn't for alcohol and drugs, I wouldn't talk to women. They gave me that confidence. Okay, so let's get something straight right out of the way. If I'm sober, my chances of talking to you, unless you talk to me, are very slim. Very slim, especially when I was a young man. They were very, very slim, okay? When I got into comedy for various reasons. But I never knew. So, I get on stage July 18th, 1991. October, we split up. I meet a girl. She goes to New York. We're talking, but we're not exclusive. I'm living with a roommate at the time. He's got a couple jobs, but one of his main jobs is selling powder. So one night, I must have stayed in. I passed out early. At that time, I was doing stand-up on Tuesdays and maybe like Thursday nights, but I was eating a ton of Valiums and I was drinking. I was eating a ton of Valium because I was selling Valium and I was drinking. So I would sleep a lot. I would fall asleep whenever I got high. I told that story on Rogan, that Valium sits in your fat and when only half of it gets activated. So one night, guys, I fucking pass out like on the couch watching TV. It's a mutual living room. It's 3 roommates. At the time, it was just me and him. Now I know what this guy does for a living, part-time. He drives a cab. He's a vocational school teacher. He helps young kids get scholarships. And he's a major league coke dealer. That's what helped him finance everything. Everything else was bullshit to cover his income. I'm sparking another one for you motherfuckers that want to get this party started. It's 4th of July weekend, you cocksuckers. The fuck you doing? Get that thing going. Who gives a fuck? You're home. You got your fucking business shirt on. You got some fucking New England Patriot shorts on. Who gives a fuck? You probably just finished whacking off. Roll up a number. Smoke one with Uncle Joey. This is as good as it gets. 4th of July weekend. No beach. They're locking everybody up today. You know what I'm saying? By the time this podcast comes out this afternoon, California will be in a total fucking lockdown.
You think so?
I know so. Governor Newsom's going to make an announcement this morning.
Fuck.
By the time this podcast comes out, Governor Newsom's going to say, we're done. La Bamba is over. Gyms are closing. Fucking, I hope my daughter's camp doesn't close tomorrow. We're supposed to go to the beach today, so while we're at the beach, Newsom's going to be giving this fucking story.
Time for a joint.
And now for a word from our sponsor, a fucking number. So, I'm living with this guy. He comes home at like 3 in the morning and goes, Joey, you fell asleep on the couch. I go, no shit, genius. Let me go up to my room. He goes, no, you can't go up to my room. He goes, you can't go upstairs. You got to do me a favor. I went to this fucking party. And some guy came up to me. I'm over there. I had a couple packages. I got rid of a couple packages. But this guy asked me for a package. That's a little weird. I go, how big of a package? He goes, an ounce. I go, that's not weird. I go, how much coke did the guy buy from you already? He goes, he bought like 4 grams already. I go, when you come home, I mean, you're already half dead. They would have followed you home if they're the cops.
Oh, yeah.
So he goes, no, I don't think he's a cop, but I'm not sure. I said, fuck it. At that time, the cops were looking for me. I had the Acura. And I hadn't paid the cops weren't looking for me, the tow truck dude.
Oh, no.
The tow truck dude was looking for me, so I had the Acura hidden in the garage, and I borrowed like this fucking, sloppy jalopy that you had to fucking, it didn't run right and shit, and I parked it around the corner. So the people in the tow truck were looking for me. I'd be driving around town in the fucked up car, you know what I'm saying? So I had a little backup car that you couldn't take out a boulder. It was going to blow up. Any day it was going to blow up. Like a friend of mine just said, just hold on to it. When it blows up, abandoned ship, I'll say it's stolen, wipe the handlebar, whatever. So I parked it around the corner from the house. So I go, you do this. I go way up to Coke. Give me the address. Tell me where the fucking joint is at. I'll go over there. And since it's me alone, I'll make believe I'm looking for an address for a party. So if I get pulled over by a cop, that looks suspicious, I could just say I got invited to a party and you're not with me. And I'll call you from the party. He goes, there's a girl there that we mutually know. When you get to the party, tell her and call me and I'll be here waiting for your call. There was no cell phones back then or nothing. So let's say the joint is here. I drive around like 4 blocks surrounding that looking for undercover cops.
Oh, shit.
Okay? When I didn't see any unmarked cars or anything, I went into this fucking party. I see the girl. I go, call Manny. She calls Manny. Manny shoots over with the Coke. Manny throws me a taste for being his back as wingman. And I mingle. I'm mingling with the girl. I'm talking to people. It's 4 a.m. It's a Friday night. We're talking about this. We're talking about that. The chick says, listen, do me a favor. If you want to go to the backyard and talk, go talk because the party's getting bigger. I have a basement. I got the front yard. But let's get out of the living room. So somebody says there's a pool table and there's a ping pong table downstairs. So I go downstairs. Guys, I'm doing comedy maybe 14 months. I am fucking horrible. I am horrible at comedy. I'm going on stage every Tuesday. I'm just embarrassing myself every Tuesday. I'm going up there with Madonna tits, and I'm going up there with a suit.
What does Madonna tits mean?
When she did Vogue.
Oh, okay.
She had those 2 cones. I went up there 1 week to Vogue with cones.
Oh, my God.
I mean, I experimented with everything. I've told you before. So I was just a horrible comic. If you think I'm bad now, you should have seen me then. I'm doing comedy about 14 months. I'm downstairs. I'm shooting pool, and there's nobody shooting pool with me. Like when you're just shooting pool, like I'm shooting, there's probably 6 people downstairs. I go, all of a sudden this girl comes up to me. Beautiful. I was 30 years old. Maybe she was 34, 35, 36, 37. A little older than me. She had kids. And we start talking. One thing leads to another. She's snorting coke. I'm doing coke. We shoot pool. I think I beat her in pool. And she goes, you know what? I guarantee you can't beat me in fucking ping pong. I go, I bet you I'll beat you in ping pong. $10. One thing led to another. We played a couple times. And it got down to showing me a tits or something or a blowjob. I don't know what it came down to. We played ping pong for her to fool around with me. We ended up fucking, I won.
Thank God you're good at ping pong.
I wasn't good at ping pong. I think she drew the game so I could beat her. And we started messing around. And she got up, but that's what she said to me when she came downstairs. She goes, when you walked in, I couldn't figure out who you were. That's the point of this whole story. She goes, I couldn't figure out who you were. I go, who the fuck am I? And she goes, you're the host at the Broker on Tuesday nights. I go, what the fuck are you talking about? And she goes, fucking, my husband's into comedy. We've gone down to see different comedians. And when you came in, I saw you. Oh, my God, you're a celebrity. I'm like, I Are you crazy? I'm doing comedy 14 months, and people, what have you been in? I go, I haven't been in shit. Like, she told me in front of a bunch of people. And I'm like, no, I got a day job. I haven't been in shit. And they're like, what movies have you been in? Nothing. I haven't been in nothing. It's 1992. I haven't been in nothing. I don't even dream about movies. I'm just trying to get on stage a few times a week. But I always think about that. Like, that was the beginning. And that's how crazy it was. For a game of fucking ping pong. So, for some people listening to this, yeah, I was 30 and life was a lot different and your state of mind was a lot different. But by the time I was 37, I was like, this lifestyle can't continue because it's not who I am. But I don't want a girlfriend either. I got to find a happy medium. Well, God didn't show up with a fucking happy medium. God laid it on me. And like Bon Jovi said it, I got it right the first time. You know, when you make a mistake, like, I ordered the wrong shoes, or, you know, you make a right turn and you fucking, you know, you get back on. That's a fucking mistake, you know. Today is 9/9/19. This is a really weird date for me. 9/9/89 was the day I got married. 30 fucking years ago. Whoa. Today. So for the last week, I have really been thinking about this. Like where I was as a human being then and where I was as a human being today, because now I could gauge it through that marriage and what my thought process was. And it's so weird that was the second biggest mistake of my life. She was a great girl, and we weren't supposed to be married. I dated her for 4 years before we got married, and it was just the whole 4 years. Like the whole 4 years, I was trying to, you know, prepare this podcast and write a little bit last night, and I was just thinking about, it was just I mean, we were together for 4 years, and we lived in 5 different states in 4 years.
So, like, did you think, like, a year in, like, yeah, we're having fun, but I won't marry her?
I was 22 years old.
No?
Okay. I wasn't even thinking about fucking marriage. I was 22 years old. When you're 22 years old, you shouldn't be thinking about marriage. You're having fun with a girl. You're going away for on weekends. Everybody works. Everybody's got energy to do shit. You're basically fucking. You're in love. You're young. Nobody's talking about marriage. You know, if somebody talks about it, you shut it down. And I was too busy. I was doing drugs. I was doing crimes. She was just my Bonnie and Clyde, whatever. We were just a Bonnie and Clyde team. And I was with her for a long time. And the reason why I want to talk about this is important, because when you marry somebody, it's a fucking big decision. You know, I was speaking to a friend of mine 2 weeks ago, a very dear friend. I've known him since grammar school. And it was one of the saddest calls I ever had, because he told me he's 60 years old and he's alone. That he doesn't know what he did on this planet to be alone. He had been married 5 times.
Whoa.
He got married 2 times in 1 year. He married one chick and it lasted 6 months. The last chick she married, are you ready for this one? I mean, I love him to dearly, and he's family and stuff, but I had to laugh. She told him that she was going home to visit her father. They got married, and they were together like 2 weeks, and she told him she was going home to visit her father, and then he got a divorce thing in the mail. You know, he's so now you're 60 and you're alone. You know what? Nobody wants to die alone. When you're 20, you're like, I don't give a fuck. I don't need no bitch. I don't need no man. I'll die like Charles Bronson in a bunker. No, listen, nobody wants to die alone, man. And it's so weird that before I started dating this girl, I had been on and I'm not ashamed to say it, I had been celibate for 8 months and without a girlfriend for a year. Like, I was on a really bad cold streak in my life. I was getting my life together. Part of that year, I was 4 months, I was homeless. So it's tough to get pussy when you're homeless, you know what I'm saying? But it was one of those years I was just having a bad year, and it was funny. I hadn't touched a woman for like 8 months. And in 3 days, I was with 3 women when I got to Boulder.
Whoa.
Like, it was that fast. I met a girl on the plane. The next day I went to get an apartment. I met a girl on the hill that I ended up fooling around with. And then I met some other girl, and we dated for like 2 nights, and I never saw her again. She lived on the other side of town. It was like when you don't need it, it's there. It was just a weird time in my life. So I was just enjoying Boulder. I was just living Boulder. But back to the case here. When I met her, we just dated. And then we almost broke up. Right before I went to prison, I got locked up November 18th when I got charged. That was the day I kidnapped that dude. Like November 5th, she had a hair thing. She was cutting hair, and she had like a competition, and she wanted me to go. And I didn't go. I just didn't want to go. It was like a mile away. It was like an hour away, and I didn't want to go. And that really hurt her feelings. And that left us in limbo. We were in limbo for about 2 weeks. And I had seen her once or twice, but the relationship wasn't on good terms. And all of a sudden, I got arrested. So all of a sudden, she stayed loyal, and she stuck it out with me. We worked together on getting all the paperwork done, everything that was due, and she helped me get my GED. She drove me to this place. I mean, it was just crazy so that made us a little tighter, and then I got sentenced, and she didn't turn her back on me then. And it's funny because while I was in prison, for 4 years I was with her every day. And then I get locked up, and now I'm not with her. And I got to be honest with you, it wasn't like I was missing her during the week. And when she'd come to see me on Sundays, I was more concerned with what she brought me than seeing her. Like, it was just really weird. So I thought when I got out that we would, to be honest with you, to be strictly honest with you, because I was such a loser, my mental phase is when I got out, I'd fuck up and we'd break up. Like, I didn't want to break up with her, especially after she was so nice to me and stuck it out with me in prison and stuff. But I knew that the electricity wasn't there. Like, it's not like I was writing her love letters every fucking day from prison. I wrote her a letter from time to time, and I'm being as honest as I can here. But we were too, and this has happened to a lot of the people listening to this podcast. At this point, you're too far involved. And something inside of you doesn't want to say stop. Like, hey, stop. We shouldn't be together. But it was weird. While I was in prison, she would come on Mondays, and I would tell her not to wear underwear and shit like that. And we would have sex. We would eat something. And between you and me, guys, I couldn't wait for her to get up and leave.
That's not good.
No, and it was fucking with me. I just thought it was maybe something I was going through because I was locked up. And then, boom, I get out. And again, she's my world, and we're hanging out. And she was a beautiful girl, guys. And she had a great family who adopted me as part of their family. And they really came through for me when I got locked up. That's when they really showed their true colors. I mean, I always had my doubts that they even liked me. When I got locked up, the mother and dad bent over backwards for me. So in my mind, I had a debt to pay them. And the debt was to come out of prison and be a fucking good guy. Like, their dad, my ex-wife's dad, and mom, for that case, were good fucking white people out of Buffalo. I mean, solid fucking Polish people out of Buffalo. Solid. I mean, I think about them. There's not a week that goes by that I don't think about him or her in some way. They had become my parents. I was really tight with her. And after I got locked up, after the first time I went to county, it was her father who bailed me out. It was my girlfriend's father who bailed me out. And then we became tight. We became like father and son. I would go up there every Saturday and cut firewood with him. And we'd fucking bale hay and fucking shovel snow and kill snakes. this was endless. Before I got locked up, I was very tight with him. So now I went to prison. He's sitting there with me in prison. When I was looking to get out, the judge was going to, community corrections had ruled me out. They voted not to have me in community corrections. What that means is they didn't want me to be like Jeffrey Epstein. They didn't want me to go to work every day, like have a work release program. He fucking wrote a letter and paid my attorney to do a special hearing to go in front of the community corrections board to accept me into a halfway house. I mean, so these are all the little things they did for me. So in the back of my mind, I was indebted to their family in a big way. And I had to pay that debt. So I put my head down. I got out of prison. I got a good job. And listen, man, it's not like I was robbing or kidnapping. All that shit was behind me. The only thing I was still fighting were my demons, who were the drugs. And everybody knew that. Like, she knew it. I don't think the parents knew it. The parents had known of my drug use, but didn't know of my drug use at the time. She knew about my drug use. And we, sometimes we think it's going to get better. You ever go buy a car and you walk in and you go, I want the car to be baby powder blue. And the guy goes, I don't have it in blue. I have it in fucking canary yellow. And you're like, well, I really don't like that color. But the guy says to you, what if I lowered the price $600? Would you like the color better? And you're like, yeah, if you lowered it for $600, I would. And you take the car. You take the car, you drive the car, you're happy with the car, but at the end of the day, it's not the car you wanted. Yeah, you save $600 and you went out to dinner with $3 and you put $3 in the bank, but it's not really the car you wanted. I want you to think about that. It's not the car you wanted. We do this in life sometimes. We go along with something. It's not really what I wanted, but let me go along with it. When you serve an apprenticeship, nobody wants to serve a fucking apprenticeship. Nobody wants to do 4 fucking years digging wires and shit to fucking for $8 an hour to get bit by spiders and snakes and shit like that. But at the end of the 4 years, you're gonna have a career. That's why if you get into one of those careers, you want to make sure you love all this shit. But what I'm trying to say is this: that I was indebted to their family. So when I got out, I tried my hardest. The only problem I had was my addiction. I thought that in time, like buying a car and saving $600, I thought that in time, I would get used to the car. You know what I'm saying? And we all do that. We all do this at one point in our lives, and we learn a valuable lesson. I didn't do it with a car. I did it with a human being. What bothers me the most about this 30 years and looking back was that I did something that I didn't want to do, that I was raised not to do, which is to tell people what you feel. And if you don't want to do something, don't do it. I got caught in the fog that if I would have sat her down like a man and said, listen, I love you, but I'm not crazy gaga over you. Like, I'm not, I don't know. I think it was too soon after my mom's death. Something was not right for my feelings towards her.